Welcome to the Carriker Chronicles, the People Show. Checking the pulse of Husker Nation, brought to you by DPS Concrete Construction. Check them out at dpsconstruction.net. Also, check out carrikerchronicles.com. If you've not done so yet, hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you don't miss any of the content we're putting out here on the Carriker Chronicles channel. We're on YouTube, Apple, Spotify, just about everywhere you can find content. We're putting it out there. Hopefully you enjoy it. But today I got a special guest. All right, he's a former Colorado Buffalo. I know, blasphemous. I'm bringing a former Buff on the show. All right. He's a former Colorado Buffalo D lineman, earned all conference honors, all right, when he played for the Buffs, was voted by his coaches as the team's most outstanding defensive player, and he won the Derek Singleton Award for spirit, dedication, and enthusiasm. Mr. Matt McChesney, how you doing, my friend?
I'm doing great, brother. How you doing, eh?
Dude, I'm excited. I'm pumped. I think everybody's looking forward to this Saturday's game. And so I told you, I said we're going to have some fun with this interview. You and I have chatted before, but my first question right out the gate, what do you say to those people? Not me. I would never say this. Not me. What do you say to those people who think Colorado is still just Nebraska's little brother?
I would say that they're living in the 80s and the 90s. And honestly, if I was a Nebraska fan, I'd be living in the 80s and the 90s too. My entire family's from Blair and Omaha and Lincoln. So we're going out this weekend. I'm pretty excited about seeing everybody and obviously the game. Look, since 2001, it's 7-6 Buffs. And I take a lot of pride in that because I went to the University of Colorado. I remember Gary Barnett, who's actually, on my show later today, 0 to 60, on Believe. They do a great job supporting both of us. I remember standing there in 99. It was right after the double overtime just banger between Nebraska and CU in 99. Yep.
I remember.
Jeremy missed a field goal wide right, and then you guys ended up beating us in overtime. And that was what we thought would be the last straw. I remember standing there like as a freshman the next year, Coach Barnett rallied all the guys in that class like, you're going to be the class that turns us around against Nebraska. And then in 2000, we lost to Memorial on like a 56-yard field goal in the lower right-hand corner off a split kick, which was just heartbreaking.
Yep. Look,
I have no problem with the Nebraska fans that think that we're the little brother, but the little brother grows up and starts beating that ass eventually. And that's since 01 at 7-6. And I think there's a lot of mutual respect on both sides. Now we can hate each other, but it's not the same as like Colorado State thinks they're our rival. And I'm sure that Nebraska looks at us the way we look at Colorado State. So that's where we want to be, bro. That's the sweet spot for me. If the more you hate us, the more you despise us, I don't want to hear good game. I want a middle finger on Saturday. So I like being in that pocket, honestly. And to be completely frank, I wouldn't want to be anywhere else. I don't really want to. I'd feel weird if we were all friends.
Hey, I got nothing but love for you. Okay. Revisionist history is always key. Let's not look at 140 years of college football or 50. Let's look at 20. But if you do, I was 3-1 versus Colorado. Yep. Nebraska is 49-21-2 versus Colorado. If you go back over time as a whole, but hey, it's all good. All right. Let me ask you this question in all seriousness, because game one for Colorado, game one for for Nebraska versus UTEP. You guys played North Dakota State. Right now, there appears to be more question marks for Colorado after North Dakota State than Nebraska versus UTEP. But what do you really learn versus opponents like that? With all due respect to North Dakota State and UTEP, we're going to learn so much more this Saturday. For me, go ahead.
No, sorry. I feel like this is the opener. Like,
yes.
North Dakota State, it's a team you don't play. You know how hard week one is to like game plan people. Mm-hmm. You walk over after your first series, and you're like, nothing we practiced or did, they're not doing any of that shit.
Pretty much.
So a lot of the time it's about adjustments. I like the fact I guess I didn't like it, but I could live with the fact that they were down 2017 at halftime CU. And then they made a ton of defensive adjustments. They pretty much shut North Dakota State out until that last quarterback scramble at the end. some of the play calling and decisions at the end of the game are a little head scratching. But again, you're either losing or you're learning. And I think that last year they lost 6 games by 1 score, and they're learning from that. And I think that that's a benefit. So looking at Nebraska and UTEP, I mean, you guys have an absolute stud at quarterback. I mean, I know he's a rookie, but he's a stud, and he's going to be, 2-3 years from now, he'll probably be a top 5 pick. But now he's got to play against a Power 4 team that has elite athletes on the defensive side of the ball that got after you guys pretty good last year. So I'm really looking for how each team schemes each other. You guys played Saturday, we played Thursday, so they got to watch your game. Mm-hmm. The 10-day buildup and being able to have an extra couple of days to get ready. We'll see if that's advantageous and an advantage. But look, if I could say anything to the team going into Lincoln, and if I could say, I would say the same thing to Nebraska. You can throw all the game planning and all the rankings and all the fan bullshit and everything we're talking about. You can take all of that, put it in a ball, and throw it out the door. This is going to be won in the trench, period.
Thank you. Yes.
If you can block your defensive line, which I think is really fucking good, and or your offensive line can get after our defensive line, which I think is much improved. I understand that the quarterback runs gashed us, but if you take away the quarterback's runs, they had 40 carries for 3.1 yards a carry. And last year, that CU team would have given up 300 yards rushing to North Dakota State. So I see improvement where others don't. But also, just like you, bro, I start when the play is coming up to the line of scrimmage, I never look at the skill players first. I always look at the center and the trench, trying to by the front and how they're going to block shit. So knowing Coach Rule and what he's going to bring to the table and how he likes to play, it's going to be a chess match all day. Can Colorado figure out a way to run the ball out of their spread set? Do they need to? Can Nebraska figure out how to pressure Shedeur and get the ball out of his hands and hit him? Because the offensive line, regardless of what you see on the internet, it's much improved than it was last year. So I think both these teams can take what they did week 1 and try and build off of it. But I don't know how much stock I would put in. Let's really evaluate the UTEP tape and find out what they're going to do against us. I think Coach Rule, knowing him and his staff and how heady they are, I would think that they would have a completely different game plan for CU coming into this game. The same way that I think Coach Prime and his people are going to have a different game plan going into Memorial.
Oh, I completely agree. Dylan Raiola on our behalf didn't even finish the third quarter. So we didn't even have our starters out there for 3 full quarters. Yeah. I was stuck on the fact that you talked about Colorado having elite athletes on defense, but then you brought up the trenches, and that's where we can agree. Okay, now I do got to point this out, okay, because I'd like to look at all the stats, not just certain stats, and just ask you about this, and then we're not going to dwell too much more on the first game. But Colorado did give up nearly 450 yards of offense to an FCS school, a really good FCS school, but an FCS school. They were outrushed by almost 100 yards, 157 to 59. And Colorado themselves only averaged just over 2 yards per carry on offense. And I come back to the trenches on that, okay, because you guys have elite athletes on offense. Jimmy Horn, he might be one of the top 5 fastest players in America. All right. Travis Hunter, probably a top 5 pick. Shedeur, maybe top 5, top 10.
Anyone like Travis Hunter before?
No. Well, so Chris Gamble is the only guy he kind of reminds me of, but Chris Gamble once played 115 snaps in one game. Travis Hunter played over 100. I think it was 136 the other night, and that's just another game for him. So at some point, Deion's going to have to limit those snaps at some point, but that's the thing. Colorado has 3 phenomenal players, and right now, and just like Nebraska has question marks, there's 19 question marks out there. And I think we're going to learn a lot on Saturday about Colorado and Nebraska. So you kind of gave your keys to the game. Do you have any other final keys to the game for Colorado's behalf before you give your prediction?
Well, look, I think for both schools, I like that Coach Prime and Coach Rule are the mutual respect press conferences. I dig that Raiola and Shedeur are complimenting each other. That's what this game is.
None of this? We're not going to get any of this year? I
don't think we're going to. Well, he's going to get it on the game day, but he'll probably.
Okay. All right. Okay.
I think that the keys for Colorado are simple. Don't turn the ball over. If you have matchup if you have matchups that work for you throwing the football and you can exploit it, you have to do it. That's where your strength is. But the time of possession in this game, if they play the game the way they did on Thursday and Nebraska has 30 minutes of time of possession and CU has 15, it is going to be a bloodbath. So they've got to figure out how to control the time of possession, and that starts with controlling the line of scrimmage. So, look, in my opinion, being a trench player just like you, of course I want them to run the ball more, but against North Dakota State, they had such a massive advantage throwing. They almost had to. They were daring them to do it. So I guess my keys to the game are simple. It's if something goes wrong, let's not overreact. If something goes right, let's not overreact. It's about swinging the hammer and just keep swinging, and eventually you're going to get a crack, and then you got to take advantage of that. And that I figure that's the same thing for Nebraska too. It's the past is the past. Last year's game's over. I hope that Colorado people don't think that, and I'm trying to reiterate this to everybody constantly, the same team we saw in Boulder last year is not the same team that's in Lincoln this year. They're a totally different group, and Matt Rule's had his hands all over them for a year, and that guy is a program-building sumbitch. Like, he is – I love the way he builds college football teams. So, I love it so much that my own son, Nicholas, who's a freshman at Mount Vista out here this year and playing up on varsity, got invited out to the game as a recruit. So I'm kind of torn here, bro.
Bring him to the good side. Bring him to the good side, man.
It's a crazy world we live in. So, look, I think that it's going to be an incredible football game. And honestly, Adam, I personally think that we should play this every year. And I don't know how we make this happen, but like, there's got to be a way to talk to Rick and talk to Tom and like figure out a way for Nebraska and Colorado to play home and home every year in the preseason. It's good for football. It's a natural big time rivalry. I know you guys have who would you even say is your rival in the Big Ten?
So right now it's Iowa. I personally miss rivalries like Nebraska, whether it's Colorado, Nebraska, Oklahoma. I miss some of those rivalries. So
I miss it bad, bro. I'm so glad to be back in the Big 12 because we get to play Kansas State and we're Oklahoma State, and you get some familiarity with old school teams. But having Nebraska on the schedule is always big for us, and I really can't wait for Saturday, bro. It's gonna be awesome.
I got one last question for you. Then I'm going to give my keys and prediction. And I know you got to take your kids to school. We actually just took my kids to school, but I want to give a shout out to our sponsors real quick. DPS Concrete Construction. If this is the line of work that you do, there is no better boss that I'm aware of. That's Jason Armstrong, DPS Construction. If you're in the Omaha metro area and you're looking to have concrete or retaining wall work done, easy for me to say, go to dpsconstruction.net. Also, if you're searching for a financial planner who is rooted in Nebraska values, and Allen Capital Group does my family's finances. They've done them for over a decade. It puts my mind at ease knowing that Allen Capital Group is doing my family's finances. They have offices in Grand Island, Ogallala, Omaha. They will work to understand what is meaningful to your financial needs, wants, and wishes. And like I mentioned, they handle my family's finances, and it takes a lot of weight and stress off me and my family. Check them out at allencapgroup.com. That's ALLEN, allencapgroup.com. All right, dude, quick answer because I know you got to go. I want your thoughts on Deion. He's so polarizing. You're a Colorado guy. What are your thoughts on Deion and the job he's doing coaching?
Look, thank God for Coach Prime coming in when he did. I don't know if we've ever been at a lower point than the 1-11 season where it was bad. It was really bad. It was so bad that people that don't like CU were like, wow, this is really bad. I really hope you guys can turn it around. So not only has he brought the national eye and the spotlight to Boulder, but he's brought in great players. He's brought the number one tackle in the country, and Shador and Travis and Jimmy and Shepard and all these other cats. It's at least gotten us back to a respectable level where we can compete, and that's all I really care about. At that point, it's about him building. I know there's a lot of people who think he'll leave and all that kind of stuff. I don't. I think that this is really the last ride for the Sanders family together. We always have Deion Sanders Jr. on my show weekly, and he played at SMU, and now he's in charge of all the social media stuff. And he even reiterated, this is the last time that Jimmy Horn and Hunter and Shador and Shiloh and the whole family is together in a season. So I think that that's pretty big time. Look, I understand there's a lot of people that don't like the way he does things, but you have to understand he's not just a college football coach. People forget that's Deion Sanders. Like, that's the best quarter that's ever played, and the gold jacket wearer, and that the respect and the validation he brings to Boulder is important. And let me ask you this, because there was a time 2 years ago where Matt Rule and Deion were getting hired at the same time, and Matt was interviewing with CU, and then he went and took the Nebraska job. And, like, do you think if it was flipped and Rule was in Boulder, do you think Coach Prime could do the same thing in Lincoln? Because I always think about that, like, they're in the same year of class, and they're trying to rebuild two programs that are elite, in my opinion. But what do you think about that question?
It's a very different cultural type fit. Like, I think Chip Kelly fit culturally in Notre Dame, and I'm not saying he's not going to do all right at LSU. Not Chip Kelly, Brian Kelly, but it's a little bit different culture down there at LSU. He hasn't seen the same level of success, at least not so far. He's fairly early on in his tenure. I think a good football coach will have different success based on where he's at, based on what the culture of that program is and what the people expect. I don't know that Deion would have been the best fit here in Lincoln, so to speak. But I think it works in Colorado.
I think that Coach Rule, I don't know if he would be the best fit in Boulder and what they needed at the time either. I think that both programs, when they hired these two individuals and these great coaches, I think they both hit home runs. Like, I'm telling you, you guys got an absolute stud of a head coach. Matt Rule is the shit. So I'm really excited for both. I think that it's going to be an absolute dogfight. I think we've got an unbelievable head coach and staff and players in Boulder. I think you got an unbelievable head coach and staff and just a great team in Lincoln. And this is what it's all about, baby. Let's get together and see what we can see.
All right, quick score prediction. What do you got?
I'm going to go 31-30 Buffs.
Ooh, high scoring and close. I like it. I hear my three keys. I am going to go quick. Limit the big plays. I personally seriously doubt if Colorado can consistently move the ball and move the chains 10 to 20 yards at a time versus the Black Shirts. But if you give them an inch, they showed you in their first game, Colorado will take 80 yards for a touchdown on a quick pass. Limit the big plays. Jimmy Horn, Travis Hunter, Shadur. You got to limit those guys' big plays. If you do, I think Colorado has a lot more of a hard time on offense. Number two, be disciplined. It's going to be crazy in Lincoln. Who can be calm at the beginning of the game, and who can win the turnover and penalty battle throughout the game. All right, and make the game easier for yourself and let the opponent make it harder on themselves. Number three, hit Shadur Sanders. Hit Shadur Sanders. Yes, he was sacked 52 times, the most of any quarterback in America last year. North Dakota State only got to him once. They hit him and pressured him a ton. North Dakota State doesn't have quite the athletes on defense Nebraska does. Can Nebraska get there just a little sooner, hit them just a little quicker, get some more sacks, and inhibit more of those throws than North Dakota State did? All right, my score prediction, not too far from yours. Nebraska 31, Colorado 24. And the three questions I got for you. Yeah, it's going to be a great game, I think. Three questions I got for you fine folks at home. Real quick, check out allencapgroup.com. Also, we are working on merchandise at CarrikerChronicles.com. It's so close. It's coming soon. I'll let you know when it's here, CarrikerChronicles.com. Here are my three questions. Number one, fans at home, let me know in the comments below. What is the single biggest key to this game if you could pick one? Number two, should Nebraska and Colorado be played every year? Yes or no? Let me know.
Yes.
Number three, what's your score prediction? Let me know in the comments below. I want to thank you for joining me, Matt. As always, it's been a blast.
Amen, brother. Have a great weekend. I'll call you when we come out there. Maybe we can hook up out in Lincoln. And, hey, man, this is going to be one hell of a weekend. So it's the last time we play for a while. Hopefully we can get it on the schedule moving forward. And everybody from Lincoln, just want you to take a look at that shirt real quick. Wipe them tears, baby. Here we come.
Oh, my God. Now look at this shirt. Look at this shirt.
Yeah,
all right. Until next time. Go Big Red. Yeah, and always remember.
Woo!
Go the Bones!